Your daughter was turning 15, and I prepared a surprise video with greetings from all the relatives. While editing, I accidentally opened one of her files. It was a video where my wife was teaching her how to lie to me. She told her, "If you want to be your daddy, he has to pay like one." My daughter smiled. "He thinks I love him." I played the wrong video at the party. The charade is over. I'm 40 years old and always wanted a family. My parents had a solid marriage, the kind you don't see much anymore. And I grew up believing that someday I would also have something like that. I'm a civil engineer, nothing extraordinary, but it has allowed me to live comfortably and save enough not to worry about the future. I met Mariana 10 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was 28 then and had a 5-year-old daughter, Sophia. She told me that the girl's father had left before she was born, and that she had been alone ever since, struggling to get by. She worked as an administrative assistant in a clinic, barely earning enough to pay rent for a small apartment in a not-so-good part of town. Do you know what it's like to look at a 5-year-old girl and immediately feel like you would give your life for her? That's what happened to me with Sophia the first time I saw her. She was sitting in a corner drawing with some worn-out crayons while the adults talked. I approached her and asked what she was drawing. "A family," she said, showing me 3 figures. A woman, a girl, and an empty space next to her. Mariana and I started dating. I'm not going to lie, the physical attraction was immediate, but what really captivated me was seeing her fight for her daughter. 3 months after we met, I invited them to live with me. My friends warned me that I was going too fast, that I should get to know her better before taking on the responsibility of an already formed family, but I was sure. We got married the following year. It wasn't anything ostentatious, just a small civil ceremony and a dinner with close relatives. What I do remember perfectly is when Sophia, already 6 years old, asked me if she could call me Dad. I know it sounds corny, but that day I felt my heart expand in my chest. For the next 9 years, my life revolved around building a home for them. We bought a house in a good neighborhood with a yard where Sophia could play. I enrolled her in a private school because Mariana insisted that she have the best possible education. I started working overtime and accepting additional projects to make sure they never lacked anything. We established our own family traditions. Sundays were movie and homemade pizza days. Each summer we took a trip somewhere new. I personally helped her with her math and science homework. For her 10th birthday, I gave her her first cell phone because all her friends already had one. Mariana thought it was too soon, but I wanted Sophia to feel that I trusted her. There were moments, however, small things that, looking back now, I should have noticed, like when I entered a room and Mariana and Sophia were whispering and suddenly stopped, or how Sophia became especially affectionate with me just before asking for something expensive. But love is blind, isn't it? And I was so in love with the idea of being a father that I ignored all the signs. When Sophia turned 14, Mariana started talking about her Quinceañera party. In our culture, it's a big event, almost like a wedding. It has to be special, she insisted. All her friends will have huge parties. At first I worried about the cost, but then I thought, what the hell? She was my daughter, not biologically, but in my heart, in all the ways that mattered, she was my girl. The planning took months. The venue, the dress, the food, the music, the guest list that seemed to grow every week. I watched the numbers in our bank account dwindle, but I kept telling myself it was worth it. I wanted Sophia to have the perfect day. I wanted to see her face light up when she entered the hall decorated especially for her. It was a month before the party when I came up with the video idea. I wanted to give her something unique, something that showed how much we all loved her. I contacted family and friends, asking them to record messages for Sophia. I wanted to capture all those years, from when she was little to now, a beautiful young woman. I spent weeks collecting photos, old videos, messages. I did it at night after work while they slept. The party was scheduled for a Saturday. The Thursday before, I stayed up late finishing the video editing. I had collected almost 50 messages from family and friends, some even from people who lived abroad and couldn't attend. I envisioned it as the highlight of the night. The lights dimming, the screen lighting up, and Sophia's surprised face seeing how many people loved her. I was exhausted after so many nights without proper sleep. Maybe that's why I made the mistake. Or maybe it wasn't really a mistake but fate intervening to show me a truth that had been in front of my eyes for 10 years. It was almost 2 a.m. on Friday when I was finalizing the video editing. The house was silent. Only the soft hum of my computer and the occasional click of my mouse could be heard. My eyes were tired after spending hours staring at the screen, but I was determined to finish. I had organized all the files in a folder called Sophia's Surprise, where I meticulously kept every clip sent by relatives, every digitized old photo, every song I had selected for the soundtrack. The project was practically complete. I just had to add some transition effects and check that everything flowed correctly. That's when I noticed I needed a specific photo of Sophia when she was about 7 years old. A moment when we went to the zoo and she was holding an ice cream bigger than her head. I remembered scanning it, but I couldn't find it in the project folder. I thought maybe I had saved it in another location, so I started checking other folders on the computer. Browsing through the recent videos section, I saw something that caught my attention. A folder titled Private as I'm barely 3 weeks old. I didn't remember creating that folder. I probably shouldn't have opened it, but curiosity got the better of me. I thought that maybe Mariana had saved some material for the party there that she wanted to keep secret. Inside were several files with names like COM1, COM2, Reminder, all recorded with Sophia's cell phone, judging by the metadata. I opened a random one titled COM May 3rd, thinking it might be part of some surprise they were preparing for me. The image appeared on my screen. It was our living room. The camera was propped up against something, probably to record without holding it. Sophia and Mariana appeared in the frame, sitting on the couch. From the light, I assumed it was early in the morning, perhaps a weekend when I was working on a project out of town. Are you sure there's no problem if I record this? It's to remind myself later, Sophia said. Of course not, it's your phone. Just make sure to save it where he can't find it, Mariana replied as she settled on the couch. Well, where were we? So, the trip to Europe you want after graduation. I froze my hand on the mouse, unable to stop the video or look away. I already mentioned something to him, but he said it's too expensive, Sophia said, pouting. Look, honey, you have to be more strategic. Mariana leaned toward her like a teacher giving an important lesson. You can't just ask him for things like that. You have to prepare the ground, like when I asked him for the iPhone last year. Exactly. You told him that all your friends had it, you acted sad for a few days, and then you were extra affectionate. How long did it take him to buy it for you? Like a week. Sophia laughed, and it was a laugh I had never heard from her before. It wasn't the innocent laugh of my little girl. It was the calculating laugh of someone much older. See? If you want to be your daddy, he has to pay like one. Mariana made a gesture with her hand as if explaining something obvious. Remember that he has no legal obligation to you. He never officially adopted you. Everything he does for you is because he wants to, so we have to make sure he keeps wanting to. I felt sick literally. My stomach turned and I had to take a deep breath to keep from vomiting right there. But I couldn't stop watching. For the trip to Europe, you need a long-term strategy, Mariana continued. Start talking about universities now, about how important it would be for your future to experience other cultures. Leave brochures about student exchanges around the house. And above all, act like the perfect daughter these months. Sophia nodded, absorbing every word like a diligent student. And if he says we can't afford it, then you cry. Tell him it's your dream, that you'll work to pay your own expenses there. You know he won't let you work, but the offer will make him feel guilty. And then came the moment that completely shattered me. Sophia smiled, a smile that I now saw full of malice, and said, He thinks I love him. Mariana returned her smile and, That, my girl, is our greatest asset. I stopped the video. My hands were shaking so much that I could barely control the mouse. I felt a ringing in my ears and a chill down my spine. 10 years. 10 years of my life dedicated to a lie. 10 years believing I had a family when in reality I was just a walking ATM. I took a deep breath and, against my better judgment, opened another file and another and another. I found similar conversations going back years, instructions from Mariana on how to manipulate me to get designer clothes, trips, even on how to act when I was upset about some excessive spending. It was a complete manipulation manual meticulously recorded by Sophia, as if taking notes for an exam. In one of the videos, when Sophia was maybe 12 years old, Mariana explained, It's not like we're doing anything wrong. He decided to be with us knowing she wasn't his daughter. If he wants to play happy family, he has to pay the price of admission. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in front of the computer replaying snippets of the videos over and over again, looking for some sign that this was just a cruel joke, some hint of regret or guilt on their faces. I found nothing. At 5 a.m., Mariana got up and found me still in front of the computer. "Are you still working on the video? You should rest, honey. Tomorrow is the big day." I looked at her, this woman with whom I had shared my bed for 10 years, and didn't recognize her. How could she smile at me so naturally after what I had seen? How many times had she kissed me after teaching her daughter how to manipulate me? "Yes, I'm just putting the finishing touches on it," I replied, surprised by how calm my own voice sounded. She came closer, kissed my forehead and said, "You're the best father Sophia could have." At that moment I made my decision. I copied one of the videos, the most recent, the clearest in its intentions, and inserted it at the end of my presentation, where my final message of love for Sophia should have been. Now there would be the truth that had been hidden for a decade. Some will judge me for what I did next. They'll say it was cruel, that I could have handled the situation differently. Maybe they're right, but after 10 years of living a lie, I felt I deserved at least one moment of brutal honesty. The day of the party dawned bright, as if the universe wanted to mock my mood. I moved like an automaton, following the routine we had planned for months. Special breakfast for the Quinceañera, photos in the garden in her new dress, a trip to the venue to supervise the last details of the decoration. Sophia was radiant in her champagne-colored dress. I watched her as she posed for photos, laughing with her friends, hugging Mariana, and every gesture now seemed rehearsed, every smile calculated. Was there anything genuine about her? Had she ever loved me even a little? "Are you okay, honey? You seem distant," Mariana asked me while adjusting the tie that matched Sophia's dress.
"I'm just tired," I replied.
And excited. It wasn't a lie. I was excited, but not for the reasons she imagined. The venue was exactly what Mariana had demanded. Elegant, spacious, with a central dance floor and tables arranged around it. A giant screen dominated one of the walls, where my video would be projected. Fresh flowers everywhere. A chocolate fountain. Waiters with trays of canapés circulating among the guests. All paid for with my credit card, which was now almost maxed out. The guests started arriving at 7 p.m. Mariana's relatives, whom I barely knew. Some of my relatives who had traveled from afar. Co-workers. Friends from Sophia's school with their parents. Almost 200 people in total. I watched as Sophia received them, hugging everyone, accepting gifts with expressions of surprise and gratitude that I now recognized as fake. I stayed close to the sound and video technician, making sure everything was ready. I had given him my USB drive with the final presentation that afternoon, giving him specific instructions on when to play it. At 9 p.m. after dinner and just before the traditional father-daughter dance, I took the microphone. The room fell silent. All eyes were on me. "I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate this very special day." I began, surprised by the firmness of my voice. As many of you know, I've had the privilege of watching Sophia grow up for the past 10 years. I'm not her biological father, but in my heart, she has always been my daughter. I looked at Sophia, who was watching me from her main table with a smile that I could now clearly see as learned, practiced. "I've prepared a short video with messages from everyone who loves you, Sophia. I hope you like it." I signaled to the technician and the lights dimmed. The screen lit up. I started to break into a cold sweat as the first few minutes of the video went exactly as planned. Photos of Sophia growing up, loving messages from grandparents, uncles, cousins, friends. Mariana, sitting next to Sophia, gave me a look of approval. She was clearly thinking how good this would look on her social media. How envious her friends would be of the wonderful stepfather her daughter had. And then the moment came, the transition to the final part of the video. My heart was beating so hard I thought everyone could hear it. The screen showed our living room. Sophia and Mariana appeared in the frame, sitting on the couch. The quality was good, their voices perfectly audible. I watched as Sophia's expression changed from confusion to horror in a matter of seconds when she recognized the video. Like when I asked him for the iPhone last year. "Exactly. You told him that all your friends had it, you acted sad for a few days and then you were extra affectionate. How long did it take him to buy it for you? Like a week? See, if you want to be your daddy, he has to pay like one." A murmur of confusion went through the room. Someone laughed, thinking it was some kind of joke, but the laughter died quickly as the video continued. He thinks I love him. And that, my girl, is our greatest asset. The reaction was immediate. Mariana jumped up, yelling at the technician to turn off the video, but the confused young man didn't react fast enough. Sophia sat paralyzed in her chair, her face pale under the makeup. When the lights came back on, the room was completely silent. 200 people looking alternately at the now dark screen, at Sophia, at Mariana, and finally at me. I walked slowly towards the center of the room. I hadn't planned what to say at this point, but the words came out on their own. The charade is over, I said, looking directly at Mariana. 10 years of lies, manipulation, and using a child to emotionally defraud a man who only wanted to be a father. I hope it was worth it. Mariana reacted as expected, with rage. Are you crazy? That video is manipulated. Sophia, tell everyone that's not real. But Sophia didn't say anything. Tears streamed down her cheeks, ruining the perfect makeup that had taken hours to apply. For the first time since I met her, I saw a genuine emotion on her face: shame. The murmurs began to grow. Mariana's relatives trying to defend her, my friends approaching me with expressions of concern, the parents of Sophia's friends gathering their things, ready to leave immediately. Mariana's mother came up to me furiously. How dare you ruin this day for Sophia? What kind of man does something like this? The kind of man who is tired of being used, I replied, surprisingly calm. Ask your daughter how many times she taught Sophia to manipulate me. How many times they laughed at me together. The rest of the party was chaos. Some guests left immediately. Others stayed for the show, divided into sides depending on who they supported. Sophia disappeared into the bathroom with some friends. Mariana alternated between trying to convince people that the video was fake and yelling at me that I was a monster for doing this to a child. I remember little of the following hours. I know I drove home alone, that I picked up some of my personal belongings, and checked into a hotel. I turned off my phone after receiving dozens of messages, some supportive, others full of insults. It's been 3 weeks since then. Mariana and Sophia are still in the house, but my lawyer is already preparing the divorce papers. I've heard from mutual friends that Mariana is spreading the story that I suffered a mental breakdown and ruined Sophia's party out of morbid jealousy because she's growing up and no longer needs me as much. Some believe her, others don't. At this point, I don't really care. What I do care about is that 2 days after the party I received a text message from Sophia. It just said, "I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." I haven't replied yet. I don't know if I ever will. I often wonder if what I did was right. If exposing Sophia like that on her birthday in front of all her friends was too cruel. She only followed her mother's teachings after all. But then I remember her face when she said, "He thinks I love him," and the coldness in her voice, and I convinced myself that they deserved to face the truth. What would you have done in my place? Would you have left silently swallowing the pain? Or would you have sought some kind of justice, some way to say, "I will not be used anymore"? I don't have clear answers. I only know that for the first time in 10 years, I'm no longer living a lie. And even though I'm alone, even though I have a broken heart and a huge debt for a party that ended in disaster, there is a certain peace in that. The charade is over. The lights are on and we can all see each other as we really are. I suppose if I could extract a lesson from all this, it would be that genuine love cannot be built on lies, no matter how much we try to ignore them for years. I wanted so badly to be a father that I convinced myself that I had the family I had always dreamed of, even though the signs of deception were right in front of me. The pain of waking up from that illusion was devastating, but also liberating. I learned that it is better to face a painful truth than to live in a manufactured happiness. Honesty, however brutal, allows us to rebuild on real foundations. Today, as I try to rebuild my life, I understand that true value lies in authentic relationships, not appearances. And although I paid a high price for this lesson, at least now I can look at myself in the mirror without wondering if the person who loves me does so for who I am or for what I can give them.